Welcome to the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I'm Renée Lautermilch, Chief Editor at Smart Publishing, and this is the podcast where we explore all things writing, publishing, and the impact of storytelling. In each episode, I'll share insights and strategies to help you navigate the book journey, whether you're writing, publishing, or already an author. Plus, you'll hear from inspiring authors who are using their book to change lives. And if you're passionate about storytelling and ready to make an impact, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Now let's get started. Hey, welcome back to the Smart Publishing Impact Series. My name is Renée Lautermilch, and I'm the Chief Editor at Smart Publishing. And today is another solo episode because I had an author on last week, John Clark, author of Cancer Diaries, and we had a wonderful episode recorded on, his health scare and journey with that, what prompted him to write the book, how it's been received. It was like 45, 50 minutes, somewhere around there. And then I finish the recording, go into, we use Riverside FM. I go into Riverside to edit everything, and I'm looking around and I'm like, where are John's parts? Usually there's like different color audio based off of which speaker it is. And so like you can generate these quick teaser videos. I generate some of those, and it's like all videos of just me talking. And I'm like, why would it just make it of me talking? Turns out, because of his connection, I guess his connection wasn't strong enough, but Riverside didn't tell us while we were doing it, it didn't record any of his audio or video. So it was literally 45 to 50 minutes of me sitting there nodding my head, making different facial expressions, and me talking. And so we had to scrap it, and we are hopefully going to connect back together soon. I think he's going to go to his public library that has a really strong connection. They've got these working cubicles in there. And so we're going to get that re-recorded for you guys, and we're going to get that out because he's got such an incredible story. His book is an incredible resource for, not just people who have been through a diagnosis or going through one, the people who support that person as well. So I really want to get that story out there. So today's solo episode is about the biggest self-publishing mistakes that I see. So I've been looking around, and over the past couple of weeks, I have seen some sort of self-publishing kind of messes, and it pains me to see it every single time because, you can do a good job with self-publishing a book. You can get something out there that's quality and solid. A great example is David Lechosa. He, went through my book, The 1 Hour Author, went through my course, the KDP self-publishing course, and did a bang up job. His book looks amazing. The book page is great. He hit bestseller in all of his categories on his release date. He did an amazing job. And that's why I have those resources. I mean, you can go buy my book in the Kindle version right now for $2.99. I mean, I'm not looking to make a ton of money off of these things. So there are great resources out there that can really, really guide you. If you decide that you're going to DIY it, you're going to go, just the self-publishing route whole and whole. And unfortunately, some people still don't take advantage of those resources. And, so I see from time to time some books that get put out there, and there's some kind of cringy things that I want you, if you're thinking about self-publishing, to avoid, or if you've self-published and you're looking for a way to improve what you have out there, I want you to be able to go back and make some tweaks, make some corrections, maybe even republish your book or relaunch your book so that you can, get it, to do justice. It can do justice for you, because never forget, your book is a representation of what people can expect from you. So when you're putting a book out there, you need to put your best foot forward, okay? Because that is going to be like the creme de la creme of what we put out. That's our book. We authored it. It's a brain dump from us, and so it needs to be a best representation of us, what people can expect from us and what we stand for. So I've got a few areas to go through in terms of the biggest self-publishing mistakes. I have narrowed it down to 5 categories because I don't want this to be a super lengthy episode. I try to keep these short and bite-sized. So the first one is kind of the book experience itself, what it looks like and what the reader experience is like. So the reader experience is going to include everything from the cover to how the inside of the book looks, to the writing quality inside the book as well. Is it readable? Is it clear? Does it flow well? Does the book make sense? So one of the biggest mistakes that I see in there is that people do not invest in getting a designer to do their book cover and an interior formatter to do their interior formatting. And I also see a lot of time people who say, well, I edited my own book. There is no such thing as editing your own book. I'm an editor. I don't edit my own books. I have another editor who edits my books. So just go to Fiverr. It's in my book, The 1 Hour Author. Like I give a lot of different ideas of how there are very cost-effective ways that you can go and hire a freelancer to do this work for you and do it right. I see a lot of Canva covers out there from people who don't have a great design eye. And so now the first thing that somebody's going to look at when they see your book, which is the cover, is a turnoff because it looks cheap. It looks like somebody DIY'd it. And then I've seen all kinds of interior formatting mistakes. I had, oh gosh, I forget who it was. I had somebody send me some images of the inside of a Kindle the other day, and it had these large sections of images in the Kindle that just got completely cut off. And then there would be like one sentence on one page and then a whole paragraph on another page. It was super, super janky. And that's because they didn't have a professional interior formatter go through to do the interior design for both the EPUB file, which is what goes into a Kindle, and the PDF file, of course, which is what goes into a printed book. So definitely, don't DIY that. If you're going to DIY that, get a program like Atticus. That's actually what David did. He got a program like Atticus, which is an interior formatting program that makes the interior design process a lot easier. It's more of sort of a drag and drop, very user-friendly experience. And the inside of his book looks great because he made that investment. I think you can buy Atticus for like $99, $129, but it's lifetime access. So any other book you write after that, you basically just upload the Word file and then it puts it all in formatting for you. And then you just go around and you make tweaks and you can see what it's going to look like in an EPUB format. And you can see what it's going to look like in a PDF format so that you can make sure it looks really, really good. You set your trim size and your margins and all of those things, your font size, your font type. And then the editing piece, there's so many reasons why you shouldn't be your own editor. One, like unless you have a really long stemming history in editing, you probably don't have the writing skills in order to do that. And two, when I write, and again, I'm an editor, there are things that are just very internal for me that I take for granted that people might understand the same way that I think them in my head, where having that outside perspective is really helpful because somebody can create better clarity where you took for granted that what you wrote was already clear. So just the perspective of another person alone can add a lot of value to that. So that's the first part of the big mistakes that I make, is just putting something out there that, frankly, it's just not good quality. Your idea might be fantastic. The core of the content might be great, but you didn't do it justice because you didn't get the right people in your circle to make sure that every part of it was as good as it could be. Now, the next issue that I typically see is with the Amazon book sales page itself. And that usually comes in the form of a really lackluster book description. I see so many poorly written book descriptions out there, things that just don't entice the reader. Either they're very poorly written, and so if you're a prospective reader, you're reading it and you're like, oh gosh, this is going to be some kind of DIY thing, it's not worth my money, I'm going to go on to the next one. Or it's like confusing, or it's boring. Your book description is an opportunity to reel in prospective readers to say, oh my gosh, I've got to read this book. This book sounds awesome. This book is exactly what it is that I'm looking for. So it's really important that you have a book description that is very well written. I talk more about the facets of a well-written book description in my book, The 1 Hour Author, but things like adding a little bit of social proof to the top of it. So if you've had reader reviews, or you had some advanced release copies that you sent to people and you got their feedback, putting some quotes in there. Social proof is always a really, really great strategy for selling anything, right? How many of us look at reviews and go through and read a few reviews before we buy something? It's that same premise. Also, being able to really quickly get across to a potential reader what the book is about, who it's for, and the key things that they're going to take away from it, and the importance of that. So I've seen book descriptions that are so lengthy that just seeing the size of the book description, I'm not even going to start to read it because I don't have the time. And then also book descriptions that are so short that you're still left wondering what the book is even about. And, I could go on and on about, A+ content on Amazon and the role that plays in continuing to enhance your book page's ability to convert potential readers into buyers of your book. But again, I said I was going to leave this as a short podcast. I think I've got a blog that's out there on smartpublishingservices.com/blog that's all about A+ content. I actually have a video that's within that blog as well. So if you want to know more about that, go check out my blog post on that. The next mistake that I see is just not having a marketing launch plan in place, basically a marketing strategy of how you're going to launch the book. At Smart Publishing, our launch strategies are 60 days long. Oftentimes I'll see, somebody publishes a book and they're like, hey, it's out there. Here it is. Go buy it, please. And that's basically it. That's like the first and the last time you ever hear about it. You want a really, really solid lead up to your book publishing. You want people who are committed to buy your book on its release date. That is, if you want a chance at hitting #1 bestseller on Amazon, you definitely need to have this in place. Most of us are not writing books because we're going to get rich off of the royalties. So it's not about the royalties. It is about getting our book to as many readers as possible, because there's either a, impact, with it, like Cancer Diaries, for example. That book stands to have a really big and positive impact on the lives of so many people. So we want it to get in the hands of as many people as possible. If your book has a direct business strategy associated to it, it's pushing people to a paid course, it's pushing people to consulting opportunities, a paid group, things like that. Again, if it's your funnel, and it's sort of the top end of your funnel, you want as many leads to go through that as possible. And then finally, if it's personal or professional branding, you're not going to be able to brand yourself very well with 5 readers, right? And so that's why you've got to have a really, really good marketing strategy in place. And that kind of bleeds into number 4 on my list, which is the pricing strategy. For your launch, you need to have a very low barrier price set up for your book. Okay. So for your launch, don't be launching with like $15.99 Kindle version. I've seen people launch with $30 hardcover versions where it's like you're just not going to get a lot of people to buy that. So 1, you're definitely not going to hit bestseller going that route. And 2, you're not going to get your message. You're not going to get your book in front of a lot of people. You want to get your book in front of a lot of people. We always have our folks do a lowest barrier price possible launch strategy on release day so that we can get as many people to buy the book as possible, because again, we want to get the book and its content and its author in front of as many people as possible. And then we change prices the next day after launch, but we don't adjust them up that much. So let me talk a little bit about pricing strategy here now that we're on this ongoing pricing strategy. So I think I talked last week about, traditional publishing. Maybe it was a post that I made. So I'm going to go ahead and discuss it here. Traditional publishers have a very different pricing strategy than you can have as a self-published author, or we have in independent publishing. When you're in traditional publishing, you have a huge overhead. You have, a bunch of on-staff people, so your labor line is really high. You are spending boohoo's of marketing dollars. You got a really big marketing budget. Of course, there's, printing and distribution and all the things that go along with a traditional publisher. And so a traditional publisher has to figure out how it can get an ROI on books. And they've got a lot of data and everything to do this. And so their pricing is completely based off of how to get an ROI. And that goes into like word count and everything like that. They have data about like, well, the book has to be a certain size, and now they're pressuring the author to like put more words in the book. And that's why you probably have read a lot of books that feel like they have a lot of fluff and filler. But, that's why you'll see, if you go to a bookstore, some of these traditionally published books, like $35 for a hardback book. Oh my gosh, that's expensive. I've seen as much as 40. And then, $25 for a paperback. Well, most people now are no longer buying books in stores off the shelf where they can see the thickness of the book and those sorts of things. Most people are buying them online now. And a lot of digital versions like Kindle are being sold as well, where, there definitely can't see a size on an ebook. And of course, I feel it's all about the value and the reader experience at the end of the day. So what we see that works for Kindle is a long-term price. So a release price of anywhere between 99 cents to $1.99. That's your launch day price. That's how you're going to move a good amount of books. And then an ongoing pricing strategy of anywhere between $2.99 to no more than $5.99. You're not going to sell a lot of Kindles if you go above that. And honestly, it's a sliding scale. So as you go up from $2.99 to $5.99, your volume of books will go down because people are simply less willing to spend more money on something that they feel they're taking a chance on. They don't know if they're going to like it or not, if it's going to be valuable or not. Now, what we see moves really well for paperback is about a $9.99 price point. And for hardcover, it's about a $14.95 price point. So that is pricing strategy. And again, the whole point is getting your book in front of more people, because unless you're a top 1% to 5% selling author, you will not be making a living off of your royalties. Do not make that the core of your focus. The core of your focus should be getting books in front of readers. Finally, now we're arriving at number 5. Another mistake that I see is people not having the right, cadence of release of formats, and long-term not having the right formats. You need, I don't care what your book is about, you need a digital, and if it's on Amazon, that's a Kindle version, and you need a paperback version. Do not go only Kindle. Do not go only paperback. When you do that, you are missing out on a huge section of readers. If you go only Kindle, you're going to miss out on a huge section of readers who say, I don't want to stare at my phone. I don't have a Kindle reader. I want to read a book that's in my hands. Now, if you only go the paperback route, you're going to miss out on the readers like me, where everything I read pretty much is on my Kindle app on my phone. And I'm not necessarily going to want to buy the paperback version because I can't read that in the dark, in the bedroom while my daughter's asleep. I need, some light to be able to read it. And I'm not old enough to have one of those little light scope readers yet that, I feel like you get once you're over the age of 60, one of the little book lights that you pin in the book. I'm not there yet. So you have to make sure that you have a variety of formats to meet what it is that your readers are looking for, so you're not missing out on a large segment of the market. Another aspect of formats is a huge mistake people make is launching with either all formats available on their launch day or launching with no Kindle available on their launch day. If you do that, you are highly unlikely to hit bestseller. There's a lot of things that go into bestseller. The most important part is your category selection, but a critical part is that you have to release on your release day on Kindle. And I would prefer your release day to only have Kindle available. Let me explain this to you. One, if you only have Kindle available on your release day, nobody can go and accidentally or out of preference buy the paperback or the hardcover version. They are forced to buy your Kindle version. Categories for paperback and hardcover are completely separate from your categories for your Kindle Okay. So if somebody's going and they're buying the paperback version, that does not pool into the same bestseller ranking pool as the purchases for your Kindle. They don't technically compete against each other, but you might as well think of it as they pool separately, and so they do not pool together. It's not pooling under the general title of your book. It's pooling based off of the format. Is it a printed copy or is it a digital copy? So that is the biggest reason that you only want to launch with your Kindle first. Now, why wouldn't you launch with your paperback first? Bestseller in Amazon is based off of orders. It's not based off of sales. So I know that's a little tricky because it's called bestseller. So let me talk through the nuance of orders versus sales. So why will you not hit bestseller if you publish in just a paperback? So bestseller is based off of a daily total number of orders. Okay. So they're looking at how many orders happened for your book in one day. If you publish through your paperback, it is not considered an order when somebody clicks the buy button. Okay. It's not an order yet. It is not an order until Amazon has printed your book and is shipping your book. It has to have printed your book and set it to ship. At that point, it's an order. Now, the problem with this is they don't do that instantly. They have a queue in on-demand printing where it depends on how many books people are ordering when and where. And so I have seen, based off of where somebody lives, anywhere from 1 day to 7 days for a paperback purchase to count as an order. And that's because the order was sitting there, the order was pending, but Amazon hadn't printed and set the book to ship yet. It was 4 days, for example, before they printed the book and set it to ship. And so on day 4, it counted as an order, which meant that even though you hit the buy button on day 1, it didn't go into your day 1 order count, which means it didn't count towards your bestseller ranking on that day. So now it's like whichever way the wind at Amazon on-demand printing blows as far as when those purchases are going to count as orders. And why does Amazon do it that way? Well, until the book is printed and set to ship, you can cancel it. Now, if the book has been printed and set to ship, you cannot cancel it. You're going to have to wait until you receive it, and then you're going to have to do a return. You're going to have to return it. So that is why they're counting it as order in that way. Now, here's the beautiful thing about Kindle and why we always do a Kindle only release. It's digital. It is instantly, there's no printing, there's no shipping. It's a digital delivery. And so the same day somebody buys it, it counts as an order because it has an instant delivery. So, like I said, lots more intricacies of hitting bestseller on Amazon, but that is, where the format of the book comes into play and what you're releasing on that launch date. Like I said, just to summarize, the look of the book, is the number one. I guess these aren't ranked. The look of the book is one of 5 of the mistakes that I see people make. Not having a professionally, designed cover or interior formatting, especially not having an editor. Number 2, not having a solid book description for your Amazon sales page that entices potential readers to buy, not having any kind of launch plan in place, no marketing up to your launch date, having a poor launch pricing strategy or a poor long-term strategy. So you're just not selling any books on your launch or beyond your launch. And finally, missing out on a good segment of the market because you don't have a variety of format options for your book and not having the formats in the proper way to try to hit bestseller on your release date. So I hope that this was valuable for those of you who are going to go the self-publishing route. You can, again, absolutely do a great job with it. I've seen some people do some amazing jobs with it. My very first book that I did before I ever owned a publishing company was a self-published book. It's actually back there behind me. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it looks really nice. I got bestseller, all of those things. So it can be done. If you need resources, the Kindle version of my book, The 1 Hour Author, is available on Amazon for $2.99, barely anything. If you prefer the paperback, I'm using the pricing strategy for paperback of $9.99. And we also have a self-publishing KDP course that literally walks you through step by step all the different files and all the different things that you need to self-publish in KDP. And then it's a fly through. So you get to see me in the KDP console walking you through each step of the self-publishing process on all 3 pages of the KDP self-publishing console. So you know exactly what you need and exactly what you're doing. It's $97. All in, you can do that for under $100 to put your best foot forward. This is your book. It's a representation of you. I want it to shine. I want it to show people that what you stand for is excellence and quality. And so if you have any questions, don't be afraid to drop in my DM too. I'd love to coach you along the way. I want to see self-publishing done well, and I want to see it done right. So that's it for today's episode. And until next time, keep writing your story because people need your voice. I'm Renée Lautermilch for the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I'll see you next time.